Today we're going to be getting into the Old Forester 1920. Now, Old Forester has been on this channel a couple of times before, with the 86 getting a stock it and the 100 getting an either stock it or ignore it, depending on what your use for it was. But I wanted to see if Old Forester could kind of keep that ball rolling with another stock it for the 1920. So let's get into it. Hello everybody and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary. You might remember from one of my previous episodes on Old Forester that they were one of only 6 distilleries that had a permit to create bourbon during the Prohibition era. They were doing it for medicinal purposes, and that had to be maintained. But what this is, the 1920, is 115 proof whiskey that is designed to kind of be an homage to that time, where the whiskeys going into the barrels had to be 110 proof. And in the case of Old Forester, by the time it came out of the barrels, it was 115 because the Angels took their share. But that's why we have the Old Forester 1920 at 115 proof. However, this is also part of a series called the Whiskey Row series, which includes the 1870 original batch, the 1897 bottled in bond, and the 1910 Old Fine Whiskey, and now the 1920. So let's go ahead and pour. I'm going to let that breathe for just a minute and talk to you about the mash bill. So as I mentioned, this is obviously a bourbon, right? So it's going to be over 51% corn. In this case, it's 72% corn, it's 18% rye, and it is 10% barley. It's also priced right about $55. So certainly not crazy price, but a little bit high as far as bourbon goes. However, you are talking about a premium product and something Old Forester really takes some pride in. So let that kind of reflect. And once you see my reaction here and the fact that half this bottle is already gone, maybe you'll understand that how I feel about this. All right, let's go ahead and give this a nose. Ah, such a good nose. It is a little high ABV, so be careful of your little nosy and don't inhale too deep when you first start out. But what I'm getting originally, or like initially, is just this beautiful cherry. It's followed by toffee and caramel and like vanilla ice cream. And there's something a little bit different in here. And it actually wasn't in my notes. If you saw, I was just glancing for a second there because I smelled it and I was like, did I get that? No, I didn't get that. It's a little bit like bread dough. I'm not sure if it's like a mustiness or a yeast kind of nose. If you think about when you are making, when you put like yeast in warm water, right? And then you mix it around, you let it sit for a little bit. There's a smell to that, which is not unpleasant, but it's not like the best, right? But now mix that smell with all the other smells I just told you. Cherry, toffee, vanilla ice cream, caramel. Like that's a good smell. And I'm really enjoying this already, and I haven't even drank it yet. So let's go ahead and have a taste. Cheers. It tastes so good once it goes past your lips. So again, for me, this is heavy on cherry in a great way. It's creamy, but it's also... Here's this. Have you ever had Cherry's Jubilee, where it's like kind of this very sugary cherry stuff, like almost like cherry pie filling, but like a little darker and richer, put over vanilla ice cream? There's some resemblance to that. It's dark cherry syrupy deliciousness with some vanilla and a little bit of just this texture that makes me think of creaminess. There's also orange going on in there. Some of the finishing notes are one that I'm not crazy about, but it's me. It's not necessarily you guys. I like mint normally, and mint can represent itself occasionally with rye. In this, it comes out of nowhere, and I do think I'll get used to it, but it seems out of place. That being said, I might miss it if it wasn't there. If anything, it just gives it layers, gives it extra texture. So, I want to have another sip of this, though. I'm just checking my notes here to make sure I didn't miss anything while filming here, because I think it's important to not only give you guys the impressions I'm getting on camera, but also make sure that anything that I kind of tasted in a previous experience that's so pretentious. When I was drinking before, anything that I was tasting, I want to make sure I put out there. So I wrote orangey, wood, cherry, like cherry's Jubilee, corn, and a little musty. Okay, so that was the one thing that I kind of missed here. I'm not getting the mustiness so much, but I did get it previously in this bottle. So just keep that in mind if you find that yourself, that, it's normal. Now, the mintiness is something that's interesting. The finish here goes for days. It's very, very, I'm trying to think of a better word than just significant. It just hangs. It lingers. It doesn't just linger on your tongue. It lingers in your throat. It lingers in the back of your mouth. It lingers on your palate. It's just everywhere. And, for me, it's the mintiness that's kind of hanging around. Like, maybe I just don't even have to brush my teeth. Maybe I'll just drink this. So, please brush your teeth. All right. So let's think. $55. $55 for 115 proof bourbon is not out of the question at all. Like, at all. I see 40% whiskeys going for near that sometimes. Usually they'll have a little gimmick or something. And Old Forester isn't really trying to do a gimmick. They're just trying to make a good product. Now, Old Forester, let's be honest. You're dealing with a known quantity. I don't think I've ever had anything from Old Forester that wasn't good. I personally didn't love the 100 proof so much. I've said that on the channel before. I get some flack about that occasionally. But it just wasn't as much for me. But I did see its use in cocktails. And in fact, I don't have the bottle anymore because I used it in cocktails. This whiskey deserves to be drank neat. Do whatever you want with it. But I would suggest you drink this neat and you enjoy every single drop because it's delicious. I'm going to personally give this a rating of stock it, but I definitely feel like you should buy it and try it. And you might find this one on your shelf a lot more than it's not. I also think that this bottle will take a little while to get through. The high ABV and the fact that one of these probably is sufficient. Maybe you move on to something else, or maybe that's just your drink of the night. But I don't think you're going to be pounding like 3 or 4 of these. Maybe. No judgment. But anyway, let's see what you guys thought. Out of 698 votes, super close to 700, 30% of you said to stock it, 21% said to buy it, 12% said to try it, 3% said ignore it, and 34% never had it. Those numbers are insane. 34%, if you take that off, we've got most people saying that you need to drink this whiskey, and the most that I think I've had since I've started doing these polls saying that you need to stock this whiskey. I really think that's telling. 700 other people most of them had a very good impression of this whiskey. And I think that you will too. In fact, I would bet it. I would bet on it. Just as a quick little side note, so end of the episode, right? If you're the kind of person who just jumps to the next episode, go ahead and do that. That's fine. I'm just going to put a quick little shout out here for the Patreon, only because this whiskey, this review will be coming out on Friday, which is going to be August 1st, but maybe I'll include this. I think I'm going to include this whiskey in this month's Patreon bottle giveaway, because this bottle was really good. And other than that, it's going to end up being like mellow corn or something like that. And I think I did the first taste of this month. Either way, I'm giving away a bottle of this. If you are on my Patreon, there's certain tiers that get you entered into the monthly drawing for free bottles. So if you are interested in that, this bottle could be heading your way. So check that out. And don't forget that I have the merch store going. There's lots of good stuff in there, and it's worth your time. Some of it's really, really cool. In fact, this little deep etched thing, I get a lot of compliments on this, even as recently as yesterday. So check it out. But that's it. I'm done hawking my wares, but you should honestly go check it out. Have a good rest of your night, and cheers.